Hello everyone, today I am looking at Pikmin. I love this game. I remember when Nintendo first unveiled this game for one of their launch titles for GameCube. I was always very skeptical, oh, I'm a little guy commanding a bunch of flower dudes to do my bidding. I was like, that doesn't sound super fun or interesting. But actually playing it, it actually works really, really well. Also, it feels really cool because essentially Olimar, what has happened is he crash lands on this planet and the entire world is like a giant garden version of our world. And so you find these little flower guys, and so Olimar, he pulls them out and basically they start following him and they basically consider him to be, their master. And so essentially what you do is you basically need to recover the parts for your ship, and you have about 30 days to do this. And so each day will last maybe 10 minutes. And so that's how long you have until you beat the game. And you can launch without all the parts, and you might make it. And sometimes you might launch and not make it, depending on which parts you get. So it is kind of stressful that you have this overlooming time limit, and you also have resources for how many guys you can carry. And so the basic premise of Pikmin is that you press B to rally them around you, and then you throw them at objects or enemies to defeat them. And it gets very stressful near the end of the game where some of these bosses can eat all the Pikmin within a certain range. So if you use all of your Pikmin at once and it just bites them all, it's game over. So it is pretty stressful and it is pretty intense. And so what happens is you can basically go out during the day, but at night all the monsters come out. So you can really only explore during the day. And so that's why it's measured in days. And so, you also have a limited amount of Pikmin. Of course, they do regenerate somewhat overnight. So you have to be careful with how many you use. There's also certain Pikmin where they will go back into their shells, and other ones that if you basically feed them objects into their little pods or whatever, that will also replenish your troops. There are also three kinds of Pikmin, at least in this game. There are the red, blue, and yellow Pikmin. The red ones are immune to fire, the blue ones can swim, and the yellow ones, I believe, can throw things, and are also immune to electricity. So depending on what you're doing and where you're going, you need to choose which Pikmin to bring with you. And of course, you do have a unit limit for the total amount of Pikmin you can control. And so for certain areas, you can want to divide your blue and your red Pikmin. What's very funny and frustrating about this game is that it's very easy to totally screw up. So for example, if you walk with all of your red Pikmin down the slope and into the water, they'll just all die. There's no little, oh wait, stopping you or whatever. If you don't know what you're doing, it will end in complete and total disaster, which is kind of hilarious. Also, Pikmin, as they go on, they'll have little flower bud heads that will still be blooming. And so the Pikmin that have essentially stayed with you longest and stayed alive the longest will have a fully bloomed flower on their head. And so again, each day is a different time limit to basically explore the world, bring back resources. A lot of people looked at this game and they look at Olimar and Smash and they think, okay, well, this guy's just basically a fruitcake or something. But it's really honestly kind of epic because you're a soldier, a captain stranded on an alien planet, and you're using the natives essentially to basically assist with getting you off planet and saving you, and you basically have this tribal warfare thing where you take their tribe against the other monsters in the environment and fight them. And so there are a few things Olimar can do. He can of course rally the Pikmin to him. He can of course throw them, subdivide them, and things like that. Oh, right, and for the yellow ones, you can just throw them farther. So there's certain things that are out of range that only they can get. And so again, you basically have to cover all roughly 30 or so pieces of your spaceship. And so if you're getting about a piece a day, you should be good. But there are some days where you're going to need that extra time, essentially. And so this is the one game I guess would be described as a real-time strategy by Nintendo. It's an RTS that has just a certain style and vibe to it. Of course, certain Pikmin can only pick up certain things, as well as, being affected by certain items. And the other thing too is that your ship, once it gets basic transport capabilities up and running, it can actually go along to other places in the map. So you're actually able to travel around the planet a little bit, and in doing so, that will allow you to go to different locations. And so that's why it's really important to kind of have more room than usual, or more time than usual, because what will occur is that you'll need to get, if you're missing like one piece or one item in one location, then you have to go to that location, and then you can't go to any other location for the rest of the day. So you have to be very careful that you either totally complete a location or whatever. And if you are caught outside after, the countdown and the sun goes down, basically you will, lose your Pikmin. Of course, there are these little kind of like globs or whatever of these little like tree sap or whatever, and that will basically level up your Pikmin as they consume it. Of course, another useful trick you find out is that there are also these little like tablets and flowers that you bring back to base, which will increase the Pikmin population. A really cool mechanic or technique to that is that if you only need one Pikmin to carry it, if you put two of them on it, it'll carry it twice as fast. So the amount of Pikmin carrying an object is relative to that object in general. And so the way this works is, so even if you have an item that, it'll tell you exactly the number that you need, at least 30 to move like a really big piece. But it's kind of nice that even though you have more of your Pikmin, let's say it's the last thing you need to get, it will move at least faster the more guys you put on it. And so every day we'll start with you landing in a new location, figure out how many types of Pikmin you want to take out. And the days always end with you returning to your ship and all the Pikmin going to their little pods and kind of leaving the environment with you. And so naturally, the first area acts as a very good tutorial level and starting point, while the later levels are much, much more difficult. Water is probably the most dangerous thing in this game, honestly, because your Pikmin, if they just step in it, they will drown. There's nothing you can do. They will just like die en masse like lemmings. And of course, Olimar can use point in order to point the direction of the Pikmin if they just need to, in generally, attack an enemy or carry a bunch of stuff in general. And the way Pikmin attack, they just kind of latch onto an enemy and fight it. They don't have a lot of health, but if they are able to essentially latch onto that enemy and defeat it, each one has a health bar or like a little bit of health. Of course, the more damage you will do, the more Pikmin you put on. But again, if you have Pikmin that are weak to this certain kind of fire, water, electricity, whatever, they are not going to last long at all. And of course, by the end of the game, you have the bosses, which are not weak to anything. You just need to bring a whole army with you, and even then it might not be enough to take down one of the final bosses of the game. They're just a lot, like really, really hard. So yeah, lots of Pikmin will fall in battle. A lot of them will simply just die, and you have to accept that. But they will fight valiantly. That's why this game always feels very badass to me. Like you're commanding an army of aliens to like secure your ship parts and your empire, and I don't know, I just thought that was always really cool. Anyway, pretty innovative, interesting concept for Nintendo for a new IP. Again, I like Pikmin, but it's not, I don't know, I feel like it could be better in some way because it doesn't really have a story and its music is okay. But from a gameplay perspective, it's really, really great. It's fun. And I think the other Pikmin games are, I mean, I still have to play some of them. I played 2 and I didn't really like 2. I thought 2 was very okay. It was just like, okay, this is fine, I guess. But I don't know. I never really clicked with 2. It introduced the white one and the purple guy who's like the heavyweight, and the white one is like the acidic, poison one. But I've heard Pikmin 3 and 4 are really good, so eventually I might get around to playing those. Till then, see you guys.